Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're looking back at the hardest items, armor sets, and weapons to earn in The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. But before we dive in, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Zant's Helmet. In the depths are several coliseums that provide combat challenges, most of which don't pose too big a threat. In the Elden Canyon depths sits the Scorching Coliseum, which is a little trickier than most others. Being under a volcano means you have to deal with the possible danger of burning, so you have to use proper armor or meals instead of those that give a defensive or offensive boost you may want. You face 5 fights of gloom-covered moblins, 2 red, 2 blue, 2 black, 1 silver, and then a group of 4, 1 of each variant. The difficulty depends on how early you find this place, and getting through it earns you Zant's Helmet, highly useful since it grants Link the unfreezable effect when worn. Zonai Armor Set. This armor set reduces how much of your battery you use when operating Zonai devices. Since it's so useful for one of the most defining features of the game, each piece is well hidden. You'll find them all on Sky Islands, but reaching them can be tricky due to how far apart they're placed from other islands that are more easily reached. The Shin Guards are on the Akala Sky Mine inside the giant sphere Link must launch himself towards. The Waist Guard is found on the Zonai Forge Island near the West Necluda Sky Archipelago. It's in a secret area and requires some careful flying using fans and diving through a laser field to even get near. Finally, the Helm is on Lightcast Island near the West Hebra Sky Archipelago. It's the hardest of the 3 to reach since it's so high up in the sky and requires solving a mirror puzzle to get its reward. Fierce Deity Sword. The Fierce Deity Sword is one of the best two-handed weapons in the game, but you'll have to work for it. You begin the hunt by speaking with Domodak and Prisson in front of the Cephala Lake Cave in the Elden region. Their short quest earns you a note from the legendary bandit Misko, which lists 3 riddles that each lead you to a piece of the Fierce Deity armor set. The armor is inside the Akala Citadel Ruins Summit Cave, found near a Thunder Gleeok and Gloom Spawn. The mask is down the Skull Lake Cave, guarded by a host of Style enemies. Finally, the boots are in the ancient Tree Stump Cave in Hyrule Field. Only after having gotten the set can Link return to the Cephala Lake Cave, dressed like the Fierce Deity, and claim his prize. Elemental Lizalfos Tails. This may seem like an odd pick, but for those of us who are completionists, Elemental Lizalfos Tails are a chore to grind for. Lizalfos will drop horns, talons, and tails, which can be used in meals and armor upgrades. Tails are much less likely to drop than the other 2, but for some reason, Nintendo made it so multiple armor sets require them at certain levels for upgrading. And not just one at a time. Sometimes each piece in a 3-piece set will require 10. Hunting for fire, ice, and electric tails has become the bane of existence for many players, myself included. The drop rate is just so low, making these the most painfully tedious materials to farm. Tunic of Memories. Once you have the ability to get the Tunic of Memories, Link's champion tunic from Breath of the Wild, getting it isn't hard. It's just reaching that point that's a bit of a pain. You can buy it from one of the bargainer statues in the depths for 400 Po souls. Except, in order for them to offer it, you must first have found all 7 of them. That's not a high number, but the depths can often be a daunting place to explore. Navigation is difficult due to the layout, dim lighting, and tendency for everything to be covered in gloom. Plus, the bargainer statues also tend to blend in with their surroundings. Evil Spirit Armor Set. The 3 Lomé labyrinths provided decent challenges in Breath of the Wild, perhaps even more so in the sequel. Found by the Akala Ancient Tech Lab in the Gerudo Wasteland and the far north of the Hebra region, Link navigates gloom-covered corridors to make it to the center. Once he does, it activates a counterpart in the sky. In these, he must float through the mazes in search of several switches, and he then has to dive all the way to the depths and face the Flux Construct 3 that awaits him. Each of these 3 challenges earns him a piece of the Evil Armor set. While not too hard on their own, most players likely won't finish them until much later in the game due to how spread out they are. Monster Medals. There are 6 types of overworld mini-bosses that, when Link defeats all of them at least once, will get him a medal from Greylands at Lookout Landing. The medals don't do anything or grant any benefit, just act as completionist rewards. We're lumping them all together, but some are obviously easier than others. The easiest to get is for Moldugas, since there are only 4 in the game and they're all found in Gerudo Desert. The others are much more tedious. There are 87 stone taluses and 69 hinoxes. While those fights are pretty easy, that's still a lot of monsters to track down. That's not to mention the 40 Froxes, 35 Flux Constructs, and 14 Gleoks, the last of which make for pretty tough challenges. Scimitar of the Seven, and Daybreaker. After completing the story quests of the main 4 sages, certain NPCs can craft a weapon of one of the champions from Breath of the Wild. For each one, they're created using a specific weapon as a base, 3 diamonds, and 5 pieces of flint, or wood in the case of Revali's bow. Diamonds aren't exactly easy to come by, nor are the specific weapons. However, Urbosa's armaments, Scimitar of the Seven and Daybreaker, edge out the others in terms of difficulty for 2 reasons. They're 2 items instead of 1, so you're required to track down both a Gerudo Scimitar and shield. And it's the only case that's preceded by a side quest, where Link must save the blacksmith from a Molduga. Personally, the Scimitar is also the one I go back for most frequently after it breaks, since it can reach some of the highest damage numbers when fused with the right materials. But that just means more diamond farming. Froggy Armor Set. One of the most worthwhile quests you can follow in Tears of the Kingdom is potential princess sightings. Pin is one of the best side characters, each individual quest is fun, and there are some great rewards to earn along the way. That doesn't change the fact that it's incredibly long and requires a lot of dedication. Link teams up with the Rito Reporter to track down 12 different stories, each found at a different stable across Hyrule. Most of the time, you'll get paid for your work, but you get a piece of the Froggy Armor Set after you complete the 4th, 9th, and final quests. It's worth doing for multiple reasons, including the slip resistance the set gives you while climbing wet walls, or slip proof after it's upgraded twice.
Ah!
Dispelling Darkness Medal. As I said earlier, exploring the depths can be a daunting task. Interacting with light roots can make it easier, since they literally light up the space around them. Still, the depths are the same size as the surface, and some of the areas can get pretty tricky to navigate. If you interact with every light root, of which there are 120, you do get a reward. Well, a medal that doesn't do anything, but a reward nonetheless. Since the depths mirror the surface, you can use shrines you've already found as a map to reach light roots. Still, 120 obviously isn't a small number. Hestu's Gift. The most time-consuming item in Tears of the Kingdom is, without a doubt, Hestu's Gift. Nintendo made getting this a little better than it was in Breath of the Wild. Link will often come across stranded, traveling Koroks in need of reaching their friends. You can fuse together whatever items are lying around to get them there, and these types of Koroks always lead to 2 seeds instead of 1. Still, there are a ton more just hiding around the overworld. Collecting them expands your inventory, while all of them gets you a shiny gold piece of crap from Hestu. With 1,000 seeds in total, it's probably the most frequent hurdle stopping players from reaching that 100%. Dusk Bow. Most of the legendary weapons in Tears of the Kingdom, those that reference past games in the series, are found in the depths after discovering maps on Sky Islands. Setting your sensor to notify you if you're near a treasure chest is also a good way to go about finding them. One of the ones that isn't found this way is the Dusk Bow, an homage to Zelda's bow in Twilight Princess. You can find the weapon in Hyrule Castle, but it isn't inside a chest, nor is it in a place most might think to look. It's in a destroyed section at the top of the tallest tower, either requiring you to skydive or climb to it. Honestly, it's one of the last legendary weapons I got because I had no idea it was there. Robbie's Fabric.
Hey!
There are a few paraglider fabrics that take a lot of effort to unlock. In the case of Robbie, the eccentric scientist in Hateno Village, it's more tedious than actually hard, but still takes an absurd amount of time. In order to get this, you have to completely fill out the Hyrule Compendium. That means pictures of every monster, material, animal, and piece of equipment found across the game. Of course, you can pay him for pictures to shorten the time, but each one costs 100 rupees. There are still a few pictures you can't get this way of elite enemies, silver monsters and bosses, which he'll sell at 500 rupees each only after you've completed the story. All's well.
Ah!
There are plenty of wells to be found in Hyrule, 58 to be exact, and after Link meets the NPC Farah, who's hiding in a random well, she'll head to Lookout Landing and give him the task of tracking the rest of them down. If you don't just feel like looking up a map, you can set your sensor to search for wells, which are usually found near stables and ruins. This is another one that doesn't necessarily test your skills, instead being difficult because of the time commitment. Farah will give Link 10 rupees for each new well he discovers, but finding them all earns him the All's Well item, a little snow globe with a well inside of it. Dusk Claymore. Here we have another weapon that references Twilight Princess. If Link heads to the Typhlo ruins near the Great Hyrule Forest, he'll meet Kazul, a researcher investigating the area. He'll point Link towards 4 stone slabs, each with a riddle on it. In order to fully solve them, you'll need to first beat the 4 main dungeons so that Link can gain abilities from the sages, which is a big reason why the Dusk Claymore earns its spot. The riddles aren't too tricky, but do take some investigating on your part of the entire area. Completing each one gets you some valuable gems, but doing all of them leads to the powerful two-handed sword, a reference to Ganondorf's appearance in Twilight Princess. Majora's Mask. Most of the combat encounters in the underground coliseums aren't too bad. By far the hardest of these is the floating coliseum, found directly beneath the coliseum ruins on the surface. Here, Link must face 5 Lynels in a row, progressing in difficulty from the basic red-colored version up to the armored silver one. An extra layer of difficulty comes from the fact that they're also covered in gloom, taking away Link's hearts with each hit unless he has the proper meals to counteract the status effect. It's worth the effort though, as it gets you Majora's Mask, which makes it harder for most enemies to notice and attack you while wearing it. Armor of Awakening set. Clearly, there's a lot of armor to track down in Tears of the Kingdom, but the Armor of Awakening is harder to find than most others. It requires following a series of riddles left by the great bandit Misko. The first riddle is found in Gorombi River Cave in the Elden region. This leads you to a spot in the Tabantha frontier guarded by a flame Gleeok, which houses the Tunic of Awakening and the next riddle. Then it's off to the Colosseum ruins and a Thunder Gleeok this time. After defeating it and solving the puzzle left by Misko, you'll get the trousers and the final riddle. This leads you to the Thundra Plateau, where you must combine several logs and stick them to the southern pillar so that the shadow reaches the northern one. Doing so opens the cave to the mask, letting you resemble the hero of 2019's Link's Awakening. Addison's Fabric. A new NPC in Tears of the Kingdom is Addison, biggest fan of Hudson and always in need of help putting up signs. Doing these little puzzles is usually fun and gets you some minor rewards, but doing 81 of them, which is how many there are in the game, is a pretty big ask. While some are easy to find on the side of the road, others are off the beaten path. And it isn't as if they get marked off on your map or have a way to search for them with your Purapad. But if you're feeling up to it, completing them all will make Addison so happy, he'll give you his own special fabric for your paraglider.
Whoa.
Koltin's Fabric. Koltin is even stranger than his brother Kilton, which is saying quite a lot. With dreams of transforming into a bloopy, he enlists Link to track down and kill all bubble frogs and collect the gems they leave behind. Bubble frogs can only be found in caves, of which there are 147. Boy, that is a lot of spelunking. You can light up caves at cherry blossom trees, though doing so will still light up caves you've already been to. You can also set your Purapad to sense bubble frogs, but even that might go off far away from the actual entrances in a lot of cases. But if you want to grant Koltin's wish and gain his fabric, you better get to exploring. Ancient Heroes Aspect. Given that it's a sequel, it's unsurprising that Tears of the Kingdom features more shrines than Breath of the Wild. There are 152 across the surface and sky. Some of them are simply a Raru's Blessing, challenging you with reaching them by obstacles, strong enemies, or transporting a giant crystal to the proper spot. However, 152 is still a pretty big number, and the ones that take away Link's gear and weapons can be a particular pain. However, if you put in the work and conquer all of them, you'll earn the Ancient Heroes aspect. Not only does it make Link resemble the Zonai warrior who fought Calamity Ganon 10,000 years before Breath of the Wild, but it has some of the highest possible defense in the game. Have you 100%ed Tears of the Kingdom yet? Are there any tough items we left off? Share your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you next time.